digital economy, because a huge part of that value is going missing. Let's just try and visualize it in terms of scale. If you take 10 tracks as being a typical album, and then you think of the number of illegal downloads there are of music every year, if you made a tower of CDs that was equivalent to the number of illegal downloads every year in the UK, it would stretch out to the International Space Station and about another 100 miles beyond that in height. That's the scale of the problem. It is truly amazing. Now, sometimes it's put against us that we treat all those illegal downloads as if they're a lost sale. We don't. We absolutely recognise that many of those downloads might not take place, and we only account for a small proportion of those in the lost revenues that we say that the industry is losing, which is a very serious problem for our ability to reinvest in new music, which is ultimately what we're here to do. Now, our opponents very often claim, I'd like to pick up on one other point that was said, that it'll shrink the market for music. It's not a market for music when people aren't paying for it at all. That's exactly the problem. It's not going to shrink the market, it will grow the market if we can use the Digital Economy Act to steer people towards the legal services, which is exactly what it's all about. Our opponents very often claim that the Digital Economy Act will in some way undermine basic rights, fundamental freedoms of information, freedom of expression that are referred to. From a music perspective, we don't really understand that argument. Freedom of information, well, there's about 12 million tracks legally available now in the UK, many more than you've ever been able to get through any kind of retail store. There isn't a problem with being able to get access to music. In fact, we've now licensed services where you can do so for free. We've licensed about 70 digital music services just in the UK, more than any other country in the world. So we've made enormous progress. People like to hark back to criticisms we weren't fast enough to react. My personal view is we probably weren't fast enough. When one looks at other industries who have struggled to adapt, who've had many more years to prepare than the music industry, they are also struggling. Film industry, books, games, sport, they're struggling to monetize the internet because the problem of illegal free is it makes it very difficult to run a successful business where you are asking people to pay for content. If people don't pay for content, you can't reinvest in creating new content. Freedom of expression, another of the freedoms which is alleged to be undermined. Again, we find it hard to understand that argument being put with the force that it is, because P2P, it's not about samizdat. There's nothing in the Digital Economy Act which is going to prevent people from expressing their opinions. We're fully for people expressing their opinions about whether our artists are good, whether their latest release is good or not. That's great, but that's not what P2P is about. P2P is about the Pirate Bay, with people going and downloading millions and millions of copies of entertainment content without paying for it. And that's the vice that this Act is intended to address. I guess we think that the opponents of the DEA may have forgotten some other important rights. We believe, the right that people enjoy to respect their property is important. The right that people had to be paid for a day's work is important. And these are fundamental rights that are being undermined in the digital economy at the moment, and that the DEA should address. So we think the internet should be a place that stimulates and rewards creativity. The great merit of it is it's an educational process that allows us to steer people towards the legal services and ensure that they have plenty of opportunities to address any problems that may occur in their household before there are any sanctions applied. I won't address many of the other specific criticisms that are made. I'm sure we'll get into them into the debate. So in terms of what we'd like to see this year, we'd like to see the code published. We would like to see ISPs and search engines working more with us to launch legal music services, to help educate the public as to where they can get entertainment legally. And we'd like to see the Act implemented a lot more quickly than is being the case. We face many more months, I fear, of work by Ofcom before anything starts to happen on the ground. We've made it easy to access music legally online. There isn't really an excuse for taking it illegally when you can even get it for free legally, and that's what the Digital Economy Act is all about. If we're going to win the battle of ideas as our economy amongst developed nations, where we can only succeed if we make things like the creative industries work, then we need legislation like the Digital Economy Act that will steer people towards using the internet in a responsible way and in a way that reinvests money into new creativity.